You want me to make a prediction right now for your future? I'll bet my life on it right now. Okay? I will bet my kids' lives on it, which I don't have yet. But when I have kids, I'll bet my life on their lives on it, my grandkids. You know what? Everything. I bet everything on this. I predict your future right now. You know what it is? Things will go wrong. Now you know. And it'll go wrong for me. It'll go wrong for you. It'll go wrong for every single person you know. Nothing ever goes exactly according to plan. This thing in front of you, this issue, this obstacle, this frustrating, unfortunate, problematic, unexpected problem preventing you from doing what you want to do, that thing you dread or secretly hope will never happen, what if, just what if, it wasn't so bad? What if, embedded inside or inherent in it, there were certain benefits only for you? What would you do? Okay, if you're going through adversity now, and there's that obstacle in front of you, you're like, this is the one thing I just wish wouldn't happen. Why did this happen? This is so bad. It changes my plans. It delays everything. Why? What if it wasn't so bad? What if that was actually good for you and there were benefits from that thing? What would change? Okay, most of us are paralyzed. Whenever an obstacle is thrown our way, we're frozen and we experience fear, frustration, confusion, helplessness, depression, anger. We freak the fuck out, basically. Okay, and what do? This is horrible, and we resort to blame. We blame our bosses, we blame the economy, we blame politicians, other people, and we just write ourselves off as, hey, I'm a failure, and I guess this is impossible. Okay, however, our only fault here is our attitude and approach. Instead of thinking, this is horrible, this is bad, nothing I can do, okay, and resorting to blame, take responsibility, take action, and change your perspective to, this is perhaps something good. And it's not just blind positivity where you're like, this is good, this is good. You know what? Let me go in my room and do 100 affirmations saying, this is good. No, it's not about trying to convince yourself it's good. It's about deep down believing I can make this good. This is something that I will look back on and be thankful for. Okay, so catch yourself here. Who are you blaming for that obstacle, for your problems in life right now, whatever it may be? Whether it's financial worry, financial stress, who are you blaming for that? Is there someone you're blaming? And I'm not saying that person might not be at fault. Let's just say your boss does screw you over, and for some reason now you have some money issues. Say that happens. Yeah, your boss screwed you over. It doesn't take away from that. What I'm saying here is instead of looping on blame, which doesn't accomplish anything, okay, you got to be much more practical. What if you took responsibility? You're like, what if there's something I can do here? I'm going to take action. I'm going to make this good. And what if this was the best thing that ever happened to me? Everything would change. Okay. And what he says is that you will come across obstacles in life, fair and unfair. Okay, we all do. And you will discover time and time again that what matters most is not what these obstacles are, but how we see them, how we react to them, and whether we keep our composure. Events are just events. Things that happen are just things that happen. You got to be objective. Right? We add all the meaning to it, but if you think about it, it's like, hey, it's just life doing life. It's life lifing. And then we attach all the labels. This is good, this is bad. I approve of what life did there. I don't approve of what life did there. Hey, let life be life. Okay? Obstacles become obstacles through the stories that we tell ourselves. We create obstacles. Okay, it comes down to how we perceive things. Take your situation now and pretend it's not happening to you. Okay, this is a great way to remove the story. Whatever adversity you're going through, take your situation and pretend, hey, it's not happening to me. Pretend it's not important. It doesn't matter. What if this thing just didn't matter at all? How much easier would it be for you to know what to do? How much more quickly would you be able to size up the scenario and its options? Way quicker, right? If you look back at some of the adversity you went through from the perspective of you being here today in the present moments, I mean, sure, it wasn't comfortable, but the hardest part is never the action that you must take, right? The hardest part is dealing with the panic, the fear, the stories, and then the buildup of stories. Oh, this is horrible. Oh, man, this is going to ruin my life. Oh, and if this happens, then that happens. And if that happens, then that happens. Oh, my God, this is horrible. Oh, I feel so sorry for myself. Oh, I need to numb myself. Oh, why did I do that? Why did I numb myself? I'm worse. This is going to make it worse. This downward spiral. When in reality, if you were just able to be like, it is what it is. I'm cool. I'm chill. What do I got to do? This? Done. If you were able to remain calm, to remain objective, to detach your self-worth from what's happening to you, and just focus on what are the options, what I have to do, it's really not that difficult. You know? If I personally think back to some of the worst adversity I've been through, for example, that scandal, looking back now, of course, I mean, the way I experienced it was hell, absolute hell. But if you objectively look at it in terms of the actions to take and what really happened, it's not that bad. I mean, it's not great, but it's not as bad as I made it out to be. The hardest part is going through, you could say, this cloud of negative energy. You know, the panic, all that stuff that gets triggered and just challenged inside of you. That's really the hardest part. So remind yourself of that. Whatever you're going through here, action-wise, it's not that difficult. The real battle is, again, your perspective and the internal. It's never really the external. And this will also help you have more energy to deal with it. You know, letting go of all these stories. He says that in our lives, we aren't content to deal with things as they happen. You know, we always have to dive endlessly into what everything means, or whether it's fair or not, or what's behind this or that. You know, what is everyone else doing? We can't just allow things to be. We can't allow life to just life, you know, and then we wonder why we don't have the energy to deal with our problems. And he says we get ourselves so worked up and intimidated because we're overthinking everything that if we didn't do that, of course we'd have the energy. You're burning all that energy analyzing. Why did this happen? Is it because I did something bad? Do I deserve this? Is it fair? Oh, what? And we're the only species that does this, right? Apart from humans, do animals do this? No, for them, things are just as they are, right? If you have a pet, say you have a dog, I doubt your dog's like, why is this happening to me? What? It's like, hey, it's just life. Don't take it so personally. Sometimes things just happen. Why? Just 'cause. And you really got to let go of that attachment of everything must go well for me, you know, and realize just how gullible we are to believe that. You know, we think that for my life, for me, for moi, everything must go perfectly well, according to plan. But if you sit down and really think about it, when have you ever heard that scenario playing out for someone? Do you know anyone for who their life went amazingly well and according to plan? Is there anyone you know in the world who that happened to? No. So why do you think it'll be different for you? Right? Every single person experiences adversity. Every single person experiences obstacles, setbacks, so on and so forth. There's no one in the world where it's like, oh, I wish that happened, and it all just goes very smooth, zero obstacles, zero failures, just I succeed, I succeed, I succeed, I succeed, I succeed. Never happens. Okay, and even if it did, you'd be stuck in apathy. You want the contrast, you want the ups and downs. But that is not natural, right? Thinking that your life has to be that way and then feeling bad when life doesn't go according to my perfect plan is like saying, you know what? I wish, I'm trying to think of something crazy. I wish I could fly. You know what? For me, I should be able to fly, and I'm just going to hate myself and hate life because I can't fly. That's what you're doing when it comes to adversity. I want things to go amazingly well. I want to fly. It doesn't exist, right? I don't want adversity. I want to fly. Same thing. And then, why did that happen? Why can I not fly right now? Same thing. Okay, so practice seeing things objectively, seeing things as they are, and then from there you can choose a perspective that is beneficial to you. Okay, what we can do is limit or expand our perspective to whatever will keep us the calmest and most ready for the task at hand. Okay, and this is really key. Sometimes it can be beneficial to zoom in. If you're extremely overwhelmed by what's going on, you're like, wow, you know what, this is going to take a lot of work, and oftentimes it does. Adversity kicks in, and you know what, it changes the course of your life, and you might have to work and put in more effort for the next year, for the next 2 years, for the next few years, right? And if you're focusing on that, you're like, man, for the next 2-3 years, it's going to be intense. Oh my God, you can psych yourself out. That's perhaps not a good perspective to take on in that instance. In that instance, it might be more beneficial to just zoom in on, okay, what's the task at hand? What's one thing I can do right now? And then just do that. Okay, so you don't get overwhelmed. However, in another situation where you might be overwhelmed in the moment, it can be beneficial to zoom out and widen your perspective and realize that, hey, in all that is my life, this little instant doesn't really matter. In 3 to 5 years, I'll look back at this and I'll be thankful. That can also be beneficial. So it depends on how you feel, what you're dealing with, but find the perspective that helps you, that calms you the most, okay, and that gets you ready to then take action in a smart, non-reactive way, okay, and remove any kind of it can't be done thinking, okay. That's the same as when it comes to money. I can't afford it, because then it just turns off the brain. It can't be done. Ah, well, I'm screwed. No. How can I make this good? That's the question. Like, how can I afford this? I can't afford this. How can I afford this? Now the brain starts thinking, oh, this is horrible. Oh, well. No, how can I make this good? How can I make this seemingly horrible thing the best thing that's ever happened to me? And you got to be creative here. There is always a way, as long as you are creative enough. Okay? And he says here too that this is where our best ideas tend to come from, right? Where obstacles illuminate new options. It creates new paths, new realizations. Okay? Every single obstacle will create new options. A recent example of mine was in New York recently. I flew out there to do a live event with Owen, and we show up, and for some reason, there's some union rule with the hotel where we can't film our events with our own gear on tripods. So we flew out the team, all this gear. It costs more than you could ever imagine, and we arrive in the hotel. It's like, no, you can't. Okay. However, we could use them without tripods, handheld. Now, there was a huge budget that went into this. There was a lot of planning, and we found out literally day of, a few hours before the event. A huge obstacle, right? What most people do, this is horrible. We can't even film this. We've been planning this for so long, promoting it for so long, so much money and time and energy went into this. Why? It can't be done. Well, let's just, whatever. That's one approach. The other is, how can we make this good? How can we make this the best thing that happened? And it forced us to get creative, right? We got different handheld cameras out on Steadicams, and we just tried a completely new way of filming the event. And it's not something that I would necessarily do for every single event moving forward or the entire way through, but it's definitely something to add on, something we weren't doing before. Before we had these more steady shots, we didn't really have someone coming up to the front of the stage, filming, following us, where it makes you feel like you're immersed and part of it. And that's something we probably wouldn't have tested unless this happened to us. This obstacle forced us to think of new options, new ways of filming that we can now take and integrate in our old ways of filming and improve it. Best thing that ever happened. Okay, there's one example. Be creative. Look for the new options. Okay, start also catching unrealistic reactions to what's happening. Okay, he says here, humans are still primed to detect threats and dangers that no longer exist. Okay, if you think of the cold sweat when you're stressed about money, or the fight or flight response that kicks in when your boss yells at you, if you really think about it here, your safety's not really at risk. You know, we overblow it. Oh, money issues. I'm going to die. No, you're not. My boss is yelling at me. I'm going to die. No, you're not. People are staring and judging me. I'm going to die. No, you're not. Okay, there is little danger that you will starve from this or that violence will break out. Okay, however, it can feel that way, and it's important once more to catch it. Unrealistic reactions, basically when you're triggered. Okay, and dive into it. Don't believe that unrealistic response to reality. Okay, and remember this, if an emotion cannot change the condition or situation you're dealing with, it is likely an unhelpful emotion. It's not appropriate, and it's something to let go of. If it can't change it, why are you feeling it? And why do you keep fueling it? It doesn't accomplish anything. Okay, just like blame. Why? It's their fault. It's their fault. Okay, what does that change? Nothing. So let go of it. Okay, and it might help to say over and over again whenever you feel that anxiety begin to come up. What he says here is, I'm not going to die from this. You can even repeat it. I'm not going to die from this. I'm not going to die from this. I'm not going to die from this. I'm not going to die from this, as a reminder. Okay, and once you're in the right headspace, once you have the correct perspective, you must then take action. Okay, don't just wait for things to fix themselves. Take responsibility, get started, get moving. Okay, we often fear that taking action is too risky, that we don't have the experience, or that it's not how we pictured it, or it's too expensive, it's too soon, maybe something better will come along if I just wait, or what if it doesn't work? And you know what happens as a result of that? We do nothing. So stop waiting. Okay, when adversity kicks in, no excuses, no exceptions, no way around it. It's on you. Take responsibility and take action. Okay, you don't have the luxury of running away or hiding here, and no one is coming to save you. Okay, this is a reaction we have from our childhood where when something doesn't go away, what do? We scream, we kick, we cry, and then our parents come and, they might be like, here, we'll fix it for you. Guess what? You're an adult now. No one's coming. You got to take life in your hands. Responsibility on you. And this is not something that should be bad or scary. It's something that's now freeing. It's my life. I'm doing my life. I'm living my life. This is great. Don't ever give your power away. Blame, so on and so forth, is giving your power away. If you take responsibility, now it's in your control. Now it's in your power. Now you can do something about it. If you put it in someone else's control, now you're helpless. Blame will just make you helpless. Once you start attacking an obstacle, quitting is not an option. You're in this for the long haul, and you must commit to the long haul. Don't look for the quick fix. If it fixes itself fast, awesome, but commit for the long haul. Be like, you know what, I might be in this for a while, and that's fine. Bring it. Okay, this will help in terms of temporary setbacks where you won't be discouraged. If you look for that quick fix, any kind of setback, you're like, oh, hope, despair, and that can really ruin someone. Okay, instead, when you commit to the long haul, these setbacks just become bumps along the road. That's it. It's like, oh, it's a setback, but it's fine because I'm in it for the long haul. Okay, consider this mindset. Never in a hurry, never worried, never desperate, never stopping short. Okay, you can write this down and just keep coming back to it. Never in a hurry, never worried, never desperate, never falling short. And really bring your awareness to the relationship you have with failure and setbacks here. Okay, you're going to fail a lot, and that's fine, and that's natural. Stop taking failure the wrong way. Okay, when failure comes, ask yourself, what went wrong here? What can be improved? What am I missing? Okay, you must fail in order to grow, in order to learn. Failure is part of the process. Okay, failure shows us the way by showing us what isn't the way. Part of knowing what you want is also knowing what you don't want. Okay, and failure is often also a source of breakthroughs. Okay, so be careful if you're thinking failure is bad or you're attaching your self-worth to failure where you feel diminished when you fail. No, failure is a valuable reference. It can teach you things that success cannot. Okay, and follow the process here. You commit to the long haul, expect setbacks, expect failure, but keep bringing your awareness to the process. The process is about doing the right things right now. Okay, not worrying about what might happen later or the result. Like, oh, it's like, no. What are you doing right now? Are you taking right action right now? If so, awesome. You're doing everything you can do. Okay, and keep reminding yourself of the opportunities and obstacles. Okay, if you think it's simply enough to take action when opportunities arise in your life, you will fall short of greatness. Why? Because anyone can do that. Let this one sink in. Okay, if you only took action at the obvious opportunities thrown your way, you'd probably not be extremely successful. You'd be doing well, but you'd be like everyone else, right? If you really want to get ahead, what's one thing a lot of people don't do? They don't see the opportunity in obstacles, right? When some disruptive event happens, or failure, or a tragedy, you use that. Okay, you must learn how to press forward precisely when everyone around you sees disaster. While others are paralyzed by discouragement, you are not. That is how you really succeed. Always be prepared for disruption. Because guess what? That's part of life. That is a guarantee in life that things will go wrong. You want me to make a prediction right now for your future? I'll bet my life on it right now. Okay? I will bet my kids' lives on it. Which I don't have yet. But when I have kids, I'll bet my life on their lives on it. My grandkids. You know what? Everything. I bet everything on this. I predict your future right now. You know what it is? Things will go wrong. Now you know. And it'll go wrong for me. It'll go wrong for you. It'll go wrong for every single person you know. Nothing ever goes exactly according to plan. Okay? So sink into that. Don't be afraid of being like, oh, but it's negative to sink into what could go wrong. What if I'll manifest it? No. Bring your awareness to it and be practical. Anticipate. Okay, if this goes wrong, what am I going to do? If that goes wrong, what am I going to do? What if I do that and then this thing happens? What am I going to do? And just start sketching out. Backup upon backup upon backup upon backup. And plan beforehand. He also writes down, always prepare ourselves for more difficult times. Always accept what we're unable to change. Always manage our expectations. Always persevere. Always learn to love our fate and what happens to us. Always protect our inner self, retreat into ourselves. Always submit to a greater, larger cause. Always remind ourselves of our own mortality. I love this. Another thing to write down, print out, and remind yourself of daily. Okay? And remember, it's not just you. You're not the only one going through adversity, and you're not the only one who has to accept things that don't go according to your plan. Everyone has to accept things that don't go according to their little plan. If someone you knew suddenly started taking offense to traffic signals, right? You'd probably think they're insane. Say you're in the car and suddenly your friend just starts freaking out. It's like a red light and your friend's like, fuck, you know what? How is this my fucking government getting me personally? They're targeting me with the red light. Oh my God, my life is ruined. I was expecting a green light right now and it's fucking red. You'd be like, whoa, what the fuck? It's just a red light, yo. It has nothing to do with you. That's a lot of life. You know, this is exactly what we do with everything. We're like, let's treat it like a traffic light. There you go. Don't take it so personally. It'll allow you to be more objective and to remain more calm. Okay? And it is important to also realize that some obstacles, okay, always take action, always do your best, but some obstacles, there's nothing you can really do, okay? And the challenge there, the benefit there, the lesson there is to practice acceptance and see perhaps the benefits that come after. Okay, every obstacle opens a new path, whether it's an obstacle where you can take action and change things, or whether it's an obstacle where you can't change anything. That also opens a new path. Look for the benefits, look for the path. How can I make this good? Okay, and consider, this can be really helpful too, consider how much worse things could have been. Things could always be worse. Okay, whatever adversity you're going through here, a lot of people in this world, you could say, would pay anything to be able to go through what you're going through now. A lot of people have it much worse than you. For a lot of people, if they saw your situation, they would do whatever they could to be in your shoes. For them, that is ultimate success, what you're going through now. Take that in. Okay? You lose money, you remember you could lose a friend. You lost a job, what if you lost a limb? You lose your house, what if you lost everything? It could always be worse. And beyond that, prepare to start again. Okay, the great law of nature is that it never stops. There is no end. Just when you think you've successfully navigated one obstacle, guess what? Another one emerges. Life is a process of breaking through these impediments. And each time you'll learn. Each time you'll develop strength, wisdom, perspective. Passing one obstacle simply says you're worthy of more. Okay? There's always going to be more obstacles. And this also helps in terms of being in a hurry, being in a rush, looking for that quick solution, being impatient. How can I quickly, get over this adversity? It's like, hey, you're going to get over it, but guess what? More adversity is going to come. So why not just embrace it? Embrace the ups, embrace the downs. Okay? Another fun way of viewing this is if you've ever gone to a sauna and you've done the really hot sauna and the freezing cold plunge right after. Okay, this is amazing, by the way. If you're not doing this, highly recommend adding it into your life. Okay, hot sauna, freezing cold plunge, and do this a few times. Sauna, cold plunge, sauna, cold plunge, sauna, cold plunge. Amazing for inflammation. So many benefits. Okay, however, this applies to that. You're in the sauna and it gets really, really hot. Okay, and at first you're like, okay, this is cool because you just got in, and after a while you're like, oh, it's hot, I need to get out, it's too hot. But where are you going next? You think you're going to get out of the sauna and you'll be like, I'm out of the heat now. No, you get out of the sauna and now you're in the freezing cold. And then it's like, oh, it's so cold, it's so cold. Where are you going next? In the heat again. Oh, it's so hot, it's so hot. Why are you in such a rush? Embrace. Let go of, again, this attachment to the future will be better. Hey, life is in the now. Okay, and he concludes here with, see things for what they are, do what we can, endure and bear what we must. What blocked the path is now the path. What once impeded action advances action. The obstacle is the way. What is your preferred method of avoiding mentally retreating or shutting down when in a crisis situation where you need to immediately take action, but it triggers and overwhelms you? Okay, so yeah, for that, the more you release, the more you dive into what's running you, the less you will be triggered when it happens. So that's the big one. And then on the other side, go out and experience more of the world and put yourself in more challenging situations. Okay, he even says this in the book at some point. I'm paraphrasing. He says, you're not born with a backbone. That's something you develop through life. Okay, another great book to read that goes in depth on that is Antifragile by Nassim Taleb. Okay, and once more, it comes down to going out and proactively seeking out stressors. Put yourself in those situations where you start building that backbone. If you live a very sheltered life, you're going to freak. And that's a good audit to actually do, is how sheltered is your life right now? How often do you challenge yourself? How often do you put yourself in situations where, it kind of stresses you out a bit? If you're not doing that a lot, when adversity comes and finds you, because it will, it's going to be hard to not freak out. Stop living such a sheltered life. He says in the book here, the Nassim Taleb book, that we become domesticated. We make things very easy. We try to make things as comfortable as possible, but we're missing the point of life. That's not what makes us, first of all, feel safe. Okay, what makes you feel safe at a core is the knowing that you can handle and even thrive on life's challenges. It's not sheltering yourself from life's challenges. So audit your life right now. How can you be a bit more wild, less domesticated, wild? Live a wilder life. Can you give an example of viewing an adverse situation like getting fired in a Stoic objective view? Okay, so let me give a few different perspectives to take on if you were to get fired. Okay, say right now you lost your job. If you have a job, imagine you lost it. You get an email right now or a text during this webinar. It's like, hey, you're fired. Okay, most likely panic kicks in and the story starts unfolding. What am I gonna do? Oh my God, that means I'm not making money anymore. I don't have a job. How am I going to survive? I'm going to starve. I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to lose my apartment. Oh, I'm going to end up in the street. I'm going to die. No. Okay. If you're in a situation where you're watching this webinar right now, where you're a part of this program, it is very unlikely, or let's just say it'll be very difficult for you to fall so low that you're homeless, starving, and close to dying. You're more resourceful than you think. A couple other things. One, job security is dead. You're gonna lose your job. This whole idea that you're gonna keep the same job your entire life, are you insane? You're gonna have to pivot a lot. Job security is dead. Okay, you're gonna go through multiple jobs throughout your life. Getting fired or quitting is expected. Expect it. Okay, and then reflect back on everyone who always says, I got fired and it seemed like the worst thing ever, but then I got an even better job. Especially if you're someone who's into self-help and this type of personal transformational work. The job you have now might be a job, consider this, it might be a job that you got when you had a certain level of self-esteem or a certain self-worth. You're like, this is what I deserve, and then you got that job. And now you might be letting go and you feel your self-worth go up, your self-esteem go up. However, you're still in a job that is linked to this level of self-esteem or self-worth. So if you were to get fired or quit or that job ended, it might not be bad. It might be that on one hand, you're no longer a match for it. And on the other hand, by losing that job, because you're now up here, you will find a new job that is much better and that's linked to where you are now. So those are some things to sink into in terms of getting fired. I almost reached the point of starving when my parents stopped supporting me. It's not so bad. Found a job in no time. Yeah, I mean, it really isn't. I've personally gone homeless a couple times, like living out of my car or then begging friends to crash with them in these insane situations. I've gone through that. It really isn't that bad. Here's another perspective to sink into. What's the bare minimum you need? Think about this. What's the bare minimum you need? Because it's easy to buy into the lies that we need all these things. If you think about your phone, we all want the latest phone, right? I need the new phone, the new gadget, the new computer. Do you? Is that a necessity? Do you really need that? And it doesn't mean say it goes low. It's like, I don't need a computer at all. It's like, what's the bare minimum you need in terms of a computer? Could you still survive with an older computer, a slower computer? Yes. Okay. So you don't need as much as you think. That's like one example. Do you need a bed? Okay, I actually had a friend who's really into like going back to like prehistoric times. Like, how did they do it then? And trying to live his life that way, where he won't, for example, use any electric light. He'll use candles only. He's like, I don't want any artificial light. And he will sleep on the floor. He's like, our ancestors slept on the floor. I don't want the bed. I like sleeping on the floor. Okay? So suddenly the necessity of having a bed is gone. And if you just write it down like the bare minimum, like that's what I need, it takes off a lot of pressure. Because right now you think, I need everything that I'm used to or I'm screwed. No, you don't. A lot of what you're used to is simply bonus. And that's great, but don't confuse it with necessity. Okay? Even sleeping in your car, being homeless, it's not that bad. Okay? If people can do it, you can do it. It doesn't mean go for that. Don't confuse it and be like, oh, I guess the goal is being homeless. No. But it means that you're not going to die. Even if you were, say, to be homeless a year, you're not going to fucking die. Okay, now, I mean, I guess it depends if you go in sketchy parts, but you're not going to fucking starve. Okay, and even then necessity will kick in. Okay, you'll probably go and like, why don't you just walk around the street and just, like we talked about in the month around money, why don't you just walk around the street and just ask people, hey, can you give me $1 and I'll sing you a song? And there you go. There are options everywhere. And actually, one more thing here too. Don't purposely aim for this, but there is a benefit too of going through that kind of adversity. You know, say here it's like, I almost reached that point of starving when my parents stopped supporting me. That adversity, here's a benefit. Now you know it's not so bad. You know, it even goes back to that question, like, how do I stop freaking out? If you've been through a situation like that where you're almost starving or say homeless, say you've experienced that, you have a reference for it, and a reference that it wasn't that bad, and a reference that you survived it, right? When adversity kicks in, say you lose your job now, instead of freaking out like, oh, I'm going to be homeless again, it's like, I've been there, done that. So you don't freak out as much. What systems do you have in place or things that you do constantly to seek challenging, adverse situations in your day-to-day life? Okay. One anyone can do is gym. Just start going to the gym. It doesn't mean that you have to work out like crazy or get all buff and ripped, so on and so forth, but start going there. And I mean, I love the gym because it's such a great reminder that when you work out, when it stops feeling too good, when adversity kicks in, when stressors are put on the muscles, they grow. You don't stop when it starts getting a little uncomfortable. That's when you know you're growing. So I like that one, and it's just a really good reminder. And then other than that, the best system to put in place to proactively seek out adversity is to go for your dreams. Go for what you want. Be you. Do you. That's the formula. If you're doing you and you're going for what you want in life, adversity will be there. You'll encounter new challenges. It'll find you. Don't worry. Just do you. So don't be like, how can I make things more negative for me? No. How can I do me? And adversity will be a byproduct of that. You trying to shelter yourself comes from you not doing you, compromising who you are, living an inauthentic, sheltered life. So do you. That's the best method to proactively seek out adversity. Can you talk more on preparing before the storm topic? Yes. Okay, so right now, whatever you're doing, consider the worst case scenarios. We talked about getting fired before. Say you were to get fired. Do you have a backup plan right now? Do you know what you're going to do? And the answer is probably like, no, I guess I'll figure it out when it happens. Okay, that's good, but is that the best strategy? To figure it out when it happens? No. Sink into it. What if it doesn't go your way? What are you going to do? What if that doesn't go your way? What are you going to do? Okay, I was actually recently talking to a Skype client, and we were talking about purpose, and his purpose was writing. Okay, and I asked him, well, what's the plan here? That's cool you found that you love writing, that's what excites you and turns you on in life. What's the plan? He's like, well, I'm writing a book right now, and I'm enjoying it. I'm writing a book, and I guess the plan is to first finish this book, send it to get edited, and then send it to a publisher and get published. I'm like, okay, cool. I like that course of action. Definitely one to explore. Let's just say you get published. Then what? Well, I guess I then write another book and get it published and start living off that. What if your book doesn't make any money? What if it just sits there on a shelf? Right? What if it's not a bestseller? Because you could technically get a book in a bookstore pretty easily. You can get a book on Amazon easily. Anyone can fucking get a book out. Doesn't mean you're going to be banking selling books. There's a lot of books in the bookstore you'll see where the writers are just broke as shit. Broke as shit and almost no one reads it. That's most books in there. Okay, at least most, you could say current books. Say that happened to you. And he was like, well, I didn't think of that. What if you send it in and the publisher says, this is dog shit, I'm not even publishing it? Then what? What are you going to do? Well, I guess I'll deal with it then. I didn't really... It's like, yo, those are the perspectives you got to dive into. But we don't like it, though. It hits our ego, the image we have of ourselves. I don't want to consider myself failing. That doesn't feel good. I don't want to doubt myself, right? I'm just going to hope for the best and just keep thinking and aim for the best. No. Doubt yourself here. Not in a way to hurt your confidence. This will actually give you confidence. In a way to be practical and come up with more options, more courses of actions, and backups. Once you have all that in place, now you feel more confident. And that's what I told him. Write down the plan. And come up with other options too. Instead of just going for the publisher, what about creating some kind of blog and publishing daily? What about sharing those stories on your Facebook? What about going to different writing events, writing meetings? What about going and joining different Facebook groups and posting your writing in there and networking with other writers? What about infiltrating this entire world that is writing, seeing how other people are making money through writing? Oh, yeah. Okay, but that comes from questioning your plan. If everything goes to shit, what you gonna do? Okay, and this can help you be ready for it. So when it does go to shit, you're like, here we go. And it can also allow you to prepare in advance. Here's one thing a lot of people don't do because they don't consider this. Most people don't have savings. Why? Because everything will keep going this way. Every week I'll keep getting a paycheck. Yo, where are your savings? What's going to happen when you don't get a paycheck? Oh, I don't like thinking about that. I'm just going to keep thinking about the best. That's why a lot of people don't have savings. Precisely this. Another thing, too, with adversity or chaos is that this is a byproduct of things changing. You know? Really let this one land. Adversity is also a byproduct of things changing. We tend to want things to change for the better, but even things changing for the better, there's still going to be adversity. Adversity is tied to things changing. Okay? So if you want to change your life, I want cooler access to things, I want better relationships, I want better friends, so on and so forth. To get there, okay, for things to change, there is going to be chaos. There's going to be adversity. So don't resist it either. If you're going through adversity, it means things are changing. And then your goal is, how can I make this good? How can I make this change beneficial? Adversity is tied to being subjective. If you're objective, there is no adversity. It's just lifing. As soon as you shift to being subjective, that's when things can be adverse. It's when you add the you into this. How does this affect me? What does it mean? What do I think of this? How does this challenge what I believe? How does this challenge what I value? If there is no you, there is no adversity. There is no good, there is no bad without you and subjectivity. Another thing to ponder.
This is Julien, and welcome to Transformation Mastery Academy, which is my new 12-month-long interactive online course where I make sure you get the support you need and hold you accountable to make true, permanent transformation for you inevitable.
It's been the first time in over 10 years since my dad died that I actually felt like I did before.
I felt so much shame when it comes to being me. And now I don't feel that shame anymore.
This program isn't like anything you've seen from me before. It has a completely new teaching format, and when you experience it, it's going to completely revolutionize every single aspect of your life, getting you the health, the wealth, the relationship, the happiness you deserve. It's complete with the latest, most cutting-edge teachings that took me over a decade to figure out, transformational missions and challenges, a foolproof accountability system, access to one-on-one Skype coaching, guided meditative releases, and so much more. Transformation Mastery Academy is the culmination of all my years traveling around the world since 2010, teaching tens of thousands of people face-to-face and millions online, meeting every type of person imaginable, seeing every type of issue imaginable, and perfecting my teachings, perfecting my techniques, producing results that are out of this world.
I had no way of being able to deal with that pain. I had no way of being able to handle it. And for the first time in my life, I finally feel an inner stillness and peace in myself.
This is the work that I'm known for. It's my premium content. It's the reason why multiple times a week, every single week, people are coming up to me in tears of gratitude, telling me and showing me how this has completely changed their lives. You're absolutely going to love it, and I can't wait for you to experience it right now.